you had an option. You could have quit football and you would never be here right now, right?
It weighed heavy on me. And then I was just kind of like, man, I don't think I really want to do this anymore. And honestly, it's about mindset. Like, how bad do you really want it? I feel like I had to drop my negative mindset and just, you know what I'm saying, like, look at it from a different perspective in a positive way. You don't rise to the occasion, you default to the level of practice.
Practices are just as important, if not more important than the game. So it's like you really got to lock in.
The best team doesn't always win. The worst team doesn't always lose. You know, just the impact that sports has on people. And now, you know, we fast forward that from Lukkas Londono to NFL free agent, right? So tell us what's going on with you right now.
So,
welcome back to the Built Not Born podcast. I'm your host, Tom Mandile.
I'm your co-host, Thomas Calabrese.
And we're very honored today to be in the presence of Lukkas Londono, two-sport athlete for Cliffside Park, or more importantly now, Towson football player, NFL free agent. And I want to start there with that, right? I mean, when people hear that, you know, from where you were in Cliffside Park, and we were talking to Andre about that night game in Englewood, and now here you are as an NFL free agent. So talk us through that, and we know what's that process like, and what's going on with you right now.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me, of course, first of all. And then, well, talking about the Englewood game, I mean, it was crazy. You guys were talking about the first play, like it was pretty insane. Like, I was seeing everything in slow motion when I threw that ball. Like, it was just like the first touchdown to Justin Chevalier, man, shout out to him. It was just, everything was just like in slow motion. I see everything in slow motion. I didn't even celebrate I celebrated with Andre. He carried me. And then I went to the sideline, went to you guys, and I was just like, dang, like, this is insane. Like, it was dope. Like, the videos afterwards, after the first touchdown, it was electric. It was for sure a night to remember, for sure. So,
and the one thing I don't think really resonates with a lot of our listeners and our viewers about the impact that sports has on people and how individual moments affect so many people in this world, because somebody actually pointed, and I just thought of this, somebody reached out to me and they said, Coach, I remember, and it was you. They said, I have goosebumps thinking about it. They said, I remember when you came back on the field when everybody had left and there was only one person on the field, and it was you. And they said, I remember when you came back on the field and you consoled them and you hugged them. I remember how bad you wanted for Cliffside Park. And that really and that's what Cliffside Park Athletics is all about, right? The fact that how personal you took it. That it was a game, you know, in the win-loss column, it was a loss, unfortunately, but just the magnitude of that game and how it impacts you and how bad you wanted, not only for yourself and your teammates, but for the entire community of Cliffside Park. And, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you left everything on that field, right? And that just goes to show you about sports, right? The best team doesn't always win. The worst team doesn't always lose. And you could be as prepared as possible. And I felt we had such a great game plan. But sometimes a play here or a play there, you know, I remember, you know, we had a great game plan. I remember it's a game of inches, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we get a first down there, and that one of those last offensive drives, the game's over. We go up 2 scores with a couple minutes left, and the rest is history. But I mean, it's just amazing. Just, you know, for that person to remember that moment. And I had no clue. I didn't even know who the person was at the time. And years later, that's the one moment that stood out to them from you and myself. So, you know, just the impact that sports has on people. And now, you know, we fast forward that from Lukkas Londono to NFL free agent, right? So tell us what's going on with you right now.
So I'm gonna start out with the process, first of all. So the beginning of this year, I had to go back to Towson. I already graduated in December. School was done. And then I was trying to figure out where to work out. And then, like, my strength and conditioning coach, he decided to call me, and he was like, man, I'll take you in. I'll build a program for you to work out here. Like, you could use every facility in here and stuff like that. So, and then I ended up staying because my lease had ended up, you know, finishing. So I had to stay at a teammate's place because he was training for pro day, but he was training somewhere else. So I ended up staying in his room. Ended up working out. Stayed there, with just working out, like literally just waking up, going there 2 sessions a day, getting in the cold tub, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, taking care of my body and stuff like that, trying to eat healthy food. And then pro day came through, and then 2 days before pro day, unfortunately, like, I had strained my hamstring working out, like just hitting, like, I was hitting a couple routes, like cleaning up everything, and then 2 days before I strained my hamstring. So they couldn't really do much for me because it was just kind of like, I just had to rest. So, but I feel like I still had a pretty decent pro day. The guys, it was the Ravens who was there. They said they liked my routes. They told me to stay active because you might never know when you get a call. So that's where I'm at right now. Still training. Was talking to people here and there, trying to connect with people. And then I got the chance to show out for the UFL. There's a UFL showcase in DC, which I'm doing in August 7th. So that's what I'm working out for. It's kind of like working out for pro day all over again. Got to do the 3-cone, the 40-yard dash, some skill position work and stuff like that. So working out all over again. But this time I'm gonna try to like learn from the past and, you know, actually listen more to my body and like being able to take the rest days. Cause sometimes I just go back to back and I'm not 18 years old no more, 19 years old where I'm hitting the field three times a day. So yeah.
So you're saying you're not a young man anymore.
It just,
Okay, I mean, you're age than me, so I guess that's why when I'm like, oh, maybe I could use a rest day today.
it catches up to you. I'll say that. So I worked out a lot, and rest days, it's not, what I had to learn was that rest days are not necessary. Like, they're work day. It's just a rest day. You need it for your body to recover. It's like, and I didn't realize that back then when I was younger, like when I was 18, 19, 20, able to work out 3 times a day. So definitely caught up to me. Now I take like recovery very serious. It's like a part of my work day, you know what I'm saying? I don't really call that my off days. I just call that active recovery.
So you said the discipline you built in high school was different than your friends. What were you actually doing differently, and where did that drive come from at that age?
Well, if I'm being honest, like the drive, it came from, you know, I was in the house. I wasn't really in the house where I really wanted to be in there, you know, off the field kind of stuff. So I was always outside the house. Like I was outside just on the field. If I wasn't on the field, I was with Coach Mandile up at 6 a.m. and like working out with him and stuff like that. I was also doing track. And then I saw success in track, so I chased that too. I like chasing that. It was an individual sport, but at the same time, I also like the relay. So my freshman year, like we had a pretty good team. Unfortunately, they ended up quitting and ended up being the number 1 runner for them. But that also motivated me too. So I was just like motivated. And then I wanted it more like than anybody else. So I feel like that's really what separated me.
When did you know that football was like your main sport?
I say ever since like my freshman year, I started playing my freshman year. That's my first year playing organized football. And that when I first tried it out, organized football, it was kind of weird putting a helmet on, like, you know, putting pads on. Because originally I'm a soccer player, but I ended up putting on like, you know, the gear on, and then, you know, catching a football, making people miss was like fun. And I was like, man, this is really fun. So
there's some similarities with soccer and football, right?
To a certain extent, yeah. Obviously not kicking the ball.
Yeah, I know, but like a lot like juking and, you know, finessing and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like this is my opinion. For me, it's easier to make somebody miss in football than it is in soccer. Because in soccer, like you can make somebody miss, but if you forget the ball, like, you know what I'm saying, that's the most important part of making a hold.
All you gotta do is hold on to it.
Exactly, yeah. So, but then, yeah, so I feel like that translated over very easily for me because, you know, making people miss, I was always agile, you know, so thank God.
You know, it brings back to another memory I have of you. When you first walked into the gym, you were an 8th grader.
Yeah.
You were in Fairview Middle School,
yeah,
and you were coming in for a workout, but I know there were some soccer players in the gym too, and you were like, Coach, I'm here for football. You know, and then you came in because, again, obviously, you know, the mirror test, right? That's what a lot of football coaches say, right? Like sometimes they say, hey, Lucas, you don't pass the mirror test. And I was like, listen, I knew, I mean, you look like an athlete, you had a good build on you, but I thought you were going to be another soccer player. And then obviously, listen, everything worked out the way it did. But I remember that when you first came in, you said you were football, I thought you were going to go outside with the soccer team. But fortunately for us and the football team in Cliffside Park, it was, you know, American football. And here you are now, obviously sitting here as an NFL free agent, hoping to get drafted. And you mentioned about your freshman year. Do you remember a conversation we had? I had you as a student. And I believe it was after a Paramus game.
Yeah.
You told me you didn't want to play football anymore. You told me you wanted to quit.
Yeah, I remember. So I don't know. It was just kind of the ups and downs of, like, you know, playing the sports. It's like you kind of see that through sometimes. And I was young. I was young back then for sure. And then shout out to you for, you know what I'm saying, like giving me a reality check. I went in because I don't know. It was, I don't remember exactly, but I remember I did have like some good plays, and I'm very tough on myself. So it's like it weighed heavy on me. And then I was just kind of like, man, I don't think I really want to do this anymore. And then on top of that, it was also like off the field kind of stuff that I was dealing with. So it's kind of like, man, I just felt like I need to start working and all that stuff. But then you kind of hit me with the reality check. So it's kind of like, you know, you were a mentor for me throughout all those years, and still not to this day, like you're still a mentor for me. I consider you as like a father figure in my life. So never really had one. So for one, and then you kind of like took me under your wing and like you gave me good advice. So I'm gonna keep going.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's like I said earlier, that's the reason why I do what I do, right? It's not, and while I appreciate the words, you know, to see you in a position for success means everything to me. But I do want you to talk about that resiliency, right? Just because that's really what this podcast is about, right? For athletes like yourself, for guys who had to overcome adversity, for athletes who had to overcome adversity and tough odds and make those choices, right? Because, you had an option. You could have quit football and you would never be here right now, right?
Mhm.
The trajectory of your life would be totally altered, right?
Mhm.
Now you decide to stay. So just talk about what that was like to overcome that from like the mental side as a freshman in high school.
For you, like you the one who helped me get there, like, you know what I'm saying, mentally keep going.
I may have actually said, I'm not going to let you quit. But,
That's what you said. You were
I mean, I said you'll fail this class. From that, I don't think it was said I'd extend to that extent. No.
So, but no, like I ended up staying, and honestly, that was the best decision I've ever made. Because then afterwards, like, it was also like, you know what I'm saying, my team, my freshman year, we were very close. Like, Jacob Leva, Brandon Oliver, like we all grew up together. You know what I mean? So I feel like once I came back, they were like, man, like we're glad to have you back. Like we're gonna do this way. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it was also the camaraderie, if that's how you say it. I'm sorry, but so it was just feeling at home with the guys too. So it's like I also realized that, you know what I'm saying, that was also like my main thing in life going on that I had going on for myself, like, that in high school. So I feel like going back, it was for sure just feeling at home, and I just felt like I could be free, you know what I'm saying? I could let all that fire that I had off the field and all that stuff, I could let it out on the field, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's what kept me going.
And then that's amazing. Now, I just want to kind of fast forward here to college, right? So
Mhm.
when you go to Towson University, right, and for all of our viewers and our listeners out there, you go on as a walk-on, correct?
Yes,
And you earned a scholarship.
Yep.
Right. So just talk about what that process is like. Because how many, again, and you're speaking to all of these athletes out there, right, who say, I want to go play college athletics. I want to go play college football. And just talk about what that process and the work ethic that it takes
Mhm.
in order to
So, yeah,
do
well,
that.
well, I told you that I was very like committed. I knew that I wanted it way more than everybody else. Like that's all I wanted. I always worked out in high school. I knew from the moment after we had that talk, I remember like I went out to camps after that freshman year. I knew I wanted to play college football, and I was always working at it. And then, COVID came by, and then I kind of lost all my contacts. However, that didn't stop me. I kept working hard, kept staying on the field. I met some people when I was on the field. And then that eventually ended me a preferred walk-on spot, PWO, at Towson University. It was funny because, I was getting recruited for quarterback, and then the quarterback's coach over there recruited me there, and I was like, I don't really want to play quarterback. He was like, yeah. He's like, don't worry, we want you here as a receiver. Went there, and it was a preferred walk-on spot. Like in football, that means like you're an extra guy. Like you're not really like, oh, you're gonna come in here and play, and like you're gonna show like you're an extra guy, and you have to show out. You know what I mean? So it's like that it was very hard for me. Like it was a very hard adjustment of like, from playing and, you know what I'm saying, like playing actual games. Like, that's the actual thrill that you want. That's the whole purpose where you practice. So that was a hard pill to swallow. Like, I had to wait. Like there was people in front of me. It's a lot more people on the team. There's a lot more people like you. People put in the work just as much as you do. So it's like it's harder to stand out for sure. But I was able to overcome that. But it was very tough mentally, but I was able to overcome that.
So you went from walking on to earning a full scholarship. What did you do and give up to make that happen?
I feel like what I did, I kind of went back. I came back here a summer because I was, of course, I still had everybody got off-field kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying, going on for themselves. So I feel like for me, like I came back and I was able to talk to one of my other trainers. I say it was another father figure for me. And he just told me to keep moving. He just told me to change my perspective on the situation that I have, because I was like, man, I can't keep paying for school. Like it's expensive. Like it's a Division I school. I'm out of state. Like it's in Maryland, and the school is in Maryland. So it was tough to pay for it. And they wanted me to stay there for the summer, but I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. He told me to change my perspective instead of saying, man, like I shouldn't be here. Like I should be somewhere else, like somewhere better. He was like, make the best of the opportunity you got right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, you know what? Like, let me change my perspective. And I changed my perspective, and I was fully in. I'm saying 100% in, and I was able to earn it that August through that camp. So I feel like I had to drop my negative mindset and just, you know what I'm saying, like look at it from a different perspective in a positive way.
Yeah. I mean, I want to kind of go back again, just sitting here listening to your stories, your whole high school experience, right? There's so many things that are coming to my mind right now. Your junior season, we spoke about that one game against Indian Hills. That was kind of your coming out party. I remember you taking the ball off the short side of the field down the left sideline and you were just distancing yourself. Like it was a 5-yard gap, and then it was 10, 15, 20. And then before you know it, you were in the end zone and your teammates were 40 yards behind you. And that just spoke about your explosiveness and your speed. Besides the dynamic part of your game, um, what could you tell our viewers and our audience that you think really helped you get to the position that you're at now? Besides the speed aspect of yourself, what were your habits and what were your systems like throughout high school to allow you to go off and go play college, right? Because it wasn't just about you being the fastest. You had to be a master of your craft. So talk about some of those things about being on the drug machine possibly, or what really helped you accomplish that.
Well, I was always on the field. I was with you in the morning, you know what I'm saying? Even during the off season, I was with you in the morning at 6 a.m. It was me and you. There was a couple other people that was there too. Can't remember. I know Brendan Gore was there. I remember he was there. Shout out to him. But it was just putting in the work, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I wanted it way more than other people did on the team. But then I also realized that for me to get there, I also had to bring other people along. So it's kind of like I had to like try to train with other people, you know what I'm saying? So just put in the work off the field, and just honestly, it's about mindset. Like, how bad do you really want it? How bad do you really want it? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want to, like, you really got to prioritize it. You really got to prioritize, hey, I'm going to be the best on the field. You really got to not only talk about it, you got to be about it, you know what I mean? So I wanted to be about it and just like prove myself right. You know what I'm saying? It's not prove everybody else wrong, it's prove myself right that I could do it. You know what I mean? So it's an inner motivation, and you know, just you talk about all the speed and explosiveness. It really came from me going every day to the field. The lights were literally off at sixth school, because sometimes they wouldn't allow you on the field and stuff like that. So I really had to be out there, like really working. So.
And besides all of your individual, achievements and accomplishments, all league, whatever it was throughout the county, you also were nominated for the North-South All-Star Game. And in my over 20 years of coaching football in Cliffside, you were the first athlete that I ever seen receive that award. So that's a credit to you. And then fast forward, to when I'm watching you on ESPN and you're scoring touchdowns on kick return. And the one thought that comes to my mind is that, again, so many conversations you and I have had, but the one about you possibly thinking about going to a Catholic school. And that was a real possibility. So I just want to kind of just briefly touch on that for so many viewers and listeners. You always hear about these kids who want to leave their hometown school and then go off to a Catholic school, right? Kind of go off to the unknown. They always think the grass is greener. But just talk about what your thought process was and why you decided to stay in Cliffside.
Yeah, so the grass is greener where you water it. So people always think there's better stuff on the other side, but there really isn't. Though. It's just where you water it, you know what I'm saying? I had built a great relationship with you. My teammates, they knew me very well. We knew exactly what we wanted. I'm saying coming for the coming season, which is my senior season. This is all before COVID, so we knew what we wanted. We knew we were clear about it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're like, yo, man, we're going to put the work in and stuff like that. So, wow, as opposed to me going to another school, like, all those kids, it's a lot of individual talent and a lot of individual egos and stuff like that. So I have friends that went over to, like, Catholic schools and stuff like that, and they were saying that, like, it's very individual. There's very individual talent, but they just can't click together, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And then I felt like I feel like you did a lot of stuff for me, so as a coach, and then I just feel like I kind of really, I wanted to stay there for you too, you know what I mean? So it wasn't just for me, it was also for you too. Like, you had helped me along the way, and I just wanted to pay that back some way that I could back then.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because I honestly, no, because it really did mean a lot to me. It was almost like I was like, I was recruiting you back to come to Cliffside, but I was just trying to paint a picture. I remember that conversation. I remember the one thing I said to you was that, God forbid, if you suffer an injury, right? Yeah. I know who you are as a person. I know the type of high character kid you are and the athlete you are. But if you go somewhere else, right, what's to say that if you get an injury that, your spot that you thought once was solidified, now you're at the bottom of the depth chart and you may never see the field again. Yeah, right. So true. It's just like that harsh reality that a lot of young athletes have a hard time realizing in the moment. But obviously, it all worked out. You made the right decision, and now here you are sitting here on the cusp of hopefully UFL and then, one day the NFL. So that's amazing.
All right, tell me the 4-rep story, because the one conversation sounds like it saved your career.
So yeah, like I said, went back home that summer after my freshman year of college, and I remember just kept talking to my trainer about it, because he has experience in the NFL. He went to Georgia Tech, so he played. He has experience playing and stuff like that. So I remember going in, and like I said, the PWO, you don't really get a lot of reps. So
That's what you make of those reps, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So that, and then it was just kind of like, man, I'm getting 4 reps. Like I didn't know the playbook. The playbook is so different. Like there was like over
Or like
100 plays.
how hard is it to remember a playbook? Because like basketball, it's not really like that, you know. But football, I feel like there's hundreds of plays that you have to remember.
Yeah. So for one thing is remembering the playbook. Another thing is remembering the signals. So it's like on top of the play, you got to remember the signal. Not only that, during the season at times, they also install new plays.
Yeah.
So you have to, all those new plays that you go over in the morning, you have to know them you have to learn them like the back of your hand. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you need to know them by that same day in practice. So it's just very tough. Like you really have to be like on it. Like film sessions is insane. Like we practiced from 2 to 6. It was like, you know what I'm saying? Most of it was like film sessions. It wasn't really practice being out there. So it was tough. It was a very tough transition for sure. But that's one thing that I didn't understand. Like I didn't understand the concepts at times. I was like, what is this? Like, you know, we didn't have Noah switch anymore. We didn't have Texas switch anymore. So we didn't have 22 rep.
I'm curious, what's the difference between his playbook and your college coach's playbook? Like, what's the difference between a high school playbook and a college?
I'm gonna let him answer.
My playbook is way better. I mean, Noah switch, you got him in the back of the end zone before at least triple cover him. How do you get the kid open? It's just all because of the plays that were being called. I had him on self-gloat. I mean, it's very simple.
I heard you got him off, and I didn't know.
Honestly,
You got his plays off Madden.
No, it's very funny you mention that because a lot of people have said that in the past. I've never played Madden once. I really haven't. You know, truth be told, as we're being honest here,
Great minds think alike.
I mean, the Build Not Born podcast is all about honesty and truth-telling. So, you know, if we're telling truth, I've never played Madden. All right. A lot. And honestly, you know, the one person who I will give credit to, I know he actually trained as well as Chris Alvarez. Because I remember him and I had sat at one point before Lucas started playing. I think Lucas may have been a freshman. And he came over to my house and we sat for hours just kind of coming up with plays and just kind of thinking about terminology and how we can get everything verified.
Chris, man.
To simplify, yeah, shout out to Chris Alvarez because he was really instrumental in getting the playbook started in terms of, you know, the hot, cold stuff and like, you know, Boston, Miami, like inside, outside, right? Just like, you know, in Boston, you're cold, so you want to be inside, so inside zone. Miami, you want to be outside, so it's an outside zone. So there's really no rhyme or reason.
I think you use the same plays.
In basketball?
Yeah, because not in basketball and football. Because when we are like sometimes during lunch, he'll like be drawing up football plays when it's during the season, and he'll like start asking me questions about football. Like I know the play, like I don't know anything about football plays.
He's
asking
always
about, like
football.
Yeah, like Miami, hot, cold, turbo, right? I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about, bro? Like,
We're gonna start adopting those into basketball too. We're gonna start calling Noah Switch.
Honestly, we should.
So they're not gonna know what we're talking about. We're gonna clear the court. You know, we're gonna run flood routes in basketball. Why is everybody on one side of the
dribble handoffs are gonna be our new like inside handoff?
We're gonna call that Miami.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off Mandile, like, yeah, like hot and cold. I feel like that helped me. There's some stuff where I learned from you, and it was very similar to the college play, but like we had hot and cold plays, like it was mainly for the runs too. So it's kind of like I was able to remember it, and then I went through like three different. I'll say like 3 or 4 different like offensive playbooks. So it was kind of like I had to remember it, but everything once you're in it and like you learn all the concepts, it's all the same. It's just different wording, different signals, different ways of running the routes, like different steps, stuff like that. But once you know like the overall like idea of it, like it was easy to remember.
What do you do to study the playbook? Like, do you like genuinely have to sit down and you have to just like watch? What do you watch, like a video, or is it like on paper?
Both. So that's the thing. So like,
do they quiz you on it?
Yeah, on Friday. So like on Saturdays, let's say your game is on Saturday. On Friday, like you go to the hotel after you eat. Like, you know, we have dinner. After you eat, you go back to the room and like you gotta do this test. Sometimes
what happens if you won't play if you fail?
Won't play, you will get limited reps. Like that, man. If they don't trust you with the playbook, they can't put you out. You got that right, coach?
Honestly, no, you're right. Yeah, because position on the football field is pretty much paradise. You don't know where you're lining up. The plays are going for high school. Well, you know, it's interesting. I want to ask you though. I mean, this guy's got jokes today.
No, I'm not joking. I'm just extra.
He's in a good mood today. You know, the Knicks just won.
I am in a good mood. I'm flat out.
But I want to ask you. So, what's the difference between basketball, right? How do you study the plays?
Listen, everybody's different, right? But for me, I'm the type of guy that if I see it once, I'll memorize it. Especially in basketball, I have a very good memory, but for basketball, it's like insane. Like I just like we could run a play once, and I'll remember exactly what I have to do and what everybody like on the court has to do too. And it's just,
That's good.
the more reps you get, the more you understand.
That's good, bro. That's what you need in college, bro. Like, being honest.
But you can only see it once, and I mean that is impressive.
No, like seriously, I'm not even saying this to brag. Like even like when we have practice and stuff, you'll install a new play, a day before a game, and like a bunch. Like I'm not to put my teammates down, but sometimes they won't remember them, and we have to like keep going over them. We have to draw it on the board, and it's not easy. Like I could only imagine for football, because basketball, I think it's way easier to do a play in basketball than it is for football.
Mhm.
But like coming up with different plays the day before a game and then having to memorize it and then having to execute it 24 hours later, that's not an easy ask.
So what advice would you give? And I'll ask Lucas too, but I'll ask you first. What advice would you give to the basketball players out
Man,
there?
I just think it's like you really got to lock in, like at the practices are just as important, if not more important, than the game. So it's like you really got to lock in and pay attention to what you're doing, because if you don't, you could like miss one thing, and that one thing could be such a big detail, as a part of the play, and that could just mess up everything. So you really just got to pay attention. And I think I'm honestly lucky that I'm blessed with like a really good memory, because not many people are, but like I just remember everything that happens. So I think I'm lucky. That's not something that like you have to kind of be born with something like that. It's not something that you just get over time, but you just really got to pay attention. You really got to listen.
So I guess that's born, not built.
I think that might be born. I think that might be born.
Okay,
Yeah.
born. All right, that's good. And Lucas, how about you for the play? I mean, you mentioned it, but
Yeah.
so the amount of, especially from a college playbook, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you got to go over the plays that you got to know who you're dealing with. So it's like, I would say for you, I know you love 22 rep, like, you know what I'm saying? So but once you get to college though, you got to know like what your coach likes to run. And then once you go, if he installs something that day, you go over practice and you don't really know it as well, you run in, you kind of like, you know what I'm saying, didn't do that good. You go back home, you know what I'm saying? And then you test yourself. It's like, all right, like you see the play. I'll say one off the top of my head. Ace, like you say, Ace Viper. So it's very simple, but like you need to know where the tight end goes, running back and stuff like that goes. You need to know the defense, because based on the defense, it's many stuff. But like you see the play and then you just write it down. And then I used to check with one of my roommates. I was lucky enough. We were all roommates, so like with each other in college. So I would always check with him, like, yo, what is this? It was lucky for me. It was a quarterback. Like, oh yeah, if you do this, this, and that. So I was able to have like a quarterback perspective out of it. So, and then I was also a quarterback. That also helped me in high school. Like that set me up for, you know what I'm saying? Being a quarterback in high school set me up for college. Like being able to know the game overall, not just from the receiver standpoint, just like overall, like the whole thing. I was able to see the whole field and get to know like what the quarterback is thinking. It's like, all right, like I'm gonna get the ball on this route. Like this is like, even though it wasn't the main route, like I was like, there's a possibility I might get the ball here. So
Have you ever seen the movie Friday Night Lights?
I've seen it once, but I'm not a really big fan.
Oh no, I think about, because in the movie, like Booby Miles, like, coach, get Booby the ball. So that's kind of always my thought in my head. It's like, get Lucas the ball. So how are you gonna do this? So I figured the best way is just put you at quarterback. I'm like, I didn't really know you could throw it, but I honestly, I mean, it's as opposed to having you hand the ball off. So
I remember being a kid watching you play. I must have been in like fourth or fifth grade, but like I genuinely,
That's crazy.
I remember watching you and Red and everybody just like playing. And we've said this before. I was like, yo, was Lucas like your whole entire offense? He's like, yeah, like he was. Like, yo, like you were the quarterback, the running back, the wide out, like the assistant coach. Like you were like no, like seriously, like. And as a young kid, like I was watching that, and it was crazy to me. And I remember so many games watching you play. I remember the Demarest game at home. There was a huge fight that broke out. Yeah, and I remember you going crazy. So I was super young at that time. I want to know what really like went down.
I mean, what really went down of what? I mean, I feel like Demarest, they're a very cheap shot team. I'll say that. So it's like,
they're dirty.
They were being very disrespectful to us, like not just to me, but also just like to the rest. They were trying to get us off our game, but I feel like there's also sportsmanship. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't go off like. There was a line, and they crossed that line, and I feel like even the coaching staff, like they wouldn't say anything on the other side, and I feel like that's where it really got personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? In sports, you're always going to talk trash to each other. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like there's a line you cross. You know what I'm saying? So when they cross that line, so that's where that's how things happen.
I remember that game vividly.
And I want to kind of switch gears a little bit now. So I want to ask both of you guys the same question. But Lucas, you hearing Thomas talk about how he watched you play, right? Like, how does that make you feel? But think about how many people watch you play, right? And
Yeah.
do you think about that when you go out there and you play, like the impact? Because you and I've had many
Mhm.
conversations about,
Mhm.
you know, the legacy you'll leave with
Mhm.
Cliffside Park and like the rich history of Cliffside
Mhm.
Park athletics, especially football. And, you know, like the impact you have on these little kids growing up, right? Like these kids are going to look up to you. So what do you think about when you hear stories like this about Thomas as a fourth, fifth grader watching you play?
First of all, I'm old. Like, I'm not even that old, but you make me feel old. Like, what are you, a junior now?
I'm a junior right now.
So yeah, like, I mean, I kind of remember talking to you like, oh, like, and then they were like, yeah, that's the mayor's son. I'm like, oh wait, what? I'm like, for real? Like, he's like, yeah, that's Thomas, man. Like, he plays basketball. Da, da, da. I'm like, I think I was trying to get you to play football because like you also like football. Back then.
I did like football a lot, but
I used to see you in sixth school like throwing around the football a lot.
Yeah.
But no, I used to see a lot of kids like that throwing around the football and stuff like that. And I was always at sixth school, I take practice seriously because you play how you practice, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa. So I always took it very, very seriously. So I try to do everything by the book, and I feel like just by doing that, I also knew that once I was off that mind, you know what I'm saying, once I off the field and stuff like that, I knew that like kids were looking up to me. They're like, "Oh, you're that kid who plays number 13." I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like saying like, "How do you doing?" I was like, "Man, just focusing up." Like even in college, I remember there was this one game I was like, I was doing pretty good. And then I was sitting down on the bench, and there's some kids behind me, like they were like, 14. My college number was 14. They're like, want an autograph, and we're losing, man. I'm like, I don't really want to front up. I'm like, you know, the coach is like, hey, man, sit down, man, sit back down, man. I was like, nah. So I just, yeah, no. So I always knew that there were kids looking up to me. So I always try to like do good. You know what I'm saying? Like try to do as best as possible. You know what I'm saying? Set an example.
lead by example, right?
Yeah, I was trying to lead by example, but because I'm not a huge, I don't really talk as much. So,
And that's spoken from two top tier athletes, two young men who are obviously very humble, right? Work extremely hard. They understand they got to master their craft. I'm going to ask you now, Tom, the same question because you and I go to different schools and you speak in front of those young audiences. And I remember sixth school we spoke there in front of the seventh and eighth grade. Besides, I remember the two kids that were rushing you for the shirt.
Oh,
When I
man.
think if you would have hung on to it, you might have torn your ACL. But talk about the impact that you have as a high school athlete now, right? I mean, all those kids. I don't know if you remember how many kids came up to you and they're like, "Oh my God, that's Thomas Calabrese. That's Thomas. Oh my God, he's the best 3-point." Like you don't remember that, but I remember because I heard it. And like the fact that all these kids look up to you, like these young kids, these young boys and girls that when they saw you in the gym, that was their reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not have seen it, but I seen the look in their eyes.
Honestly, I really
They just
want
wanted to come over. They just wanted to talk to you.
No, I mean, it's just like you said, you want to lead by example. And, you know, as I'm getting older and I'm getting, you know, to become a senior in high school.
I mean, you are getting old because you work out and you tell me you can extend your legs out all the way. Although they're pretty extended right now, so I'm shocked.
I'm getting ready for
The core workouts aren't, you know,
terrible. Got to get on.
you can't bend his legs supposedly. But
Yeah,
that's not true. That's not true.
we're talking about the kids from sixth school about how they look up to you.
No, like Lucas said, like you just try to lead by example. And like as like, you know, I'm becoming a senior in high school now, and you know, new blood's coming into the high school, and you know, kids are also getting older. You just want to lead by example, and you want to like show the younger kids, you know, what to do, what not to do, and you want them to kind of like just like follow your footsteps so that you lead them in the right path. It's not really for me, it's for the younger generation and for the next, like, you know, the next people that are gonna step into Cliffside Park
Now-
High School. So
Now let me ask you. Now I'm going to ask you a similar question, Lucas, in a second. But what do you want your legacy to be? Right, when Thomas Calabrese graduates high school, right? Nothing to do with individual or team success. What do you want your legacy to be? When they look back on Thomas Calabrese, what are they going to say about you?
I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. I mean, I'm still in high school, so I don't really know how to, you know, I don't really know what I want my legacy to
back,
be.
I mean, this time next year, you won't be.
True. I just want people to remember me as a great leader more than anything, and someone who wanted to win more than anything, because you know, all the accolades, they come from winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't get 1,000 points if you're not a good, like, I mean, if you're the best player on the worst team, obviously you might score 1,000 points because, you know, that's you know, you're the best player, you're the main option. But to get 1,000 points and to get all those accolades, you got to win, because the more you win, the more games you play, and it's the more opportunities you get to score your 1,000 points. So, and all of it, not just about scoring, like, you know, assists and rebounds and, you know, taking charges, steals and all that. It all comes with winning. So I just want to be known as a winner, someone who wanted to win, a really fierce competitor, and just a great leader, I guess.
And the one thing I'll say is, you know, Lucas can touch on this too, hearing some of his stories. It seemed like yesterday, well, you have to enjoy every moment of this. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this senior year is going to fly
I
by.
know. I can only
Much as you
imagine.
want to kind of, put it on pause and freeze it a little bit. But, the thing about 12 months from now, right? I mean, we already have college.
3 years has gone by, like,
Sure.
and I could only imagine what college is gonna be like.
Now, Lucas, you kind of touch on the same points, right? So your legacy, right? Lukkas Londono. When people hear that name in Cliffside, what do you want them to think of?
A person who was determined, you know what I'm saying? I was just determined. I really wasn't looking to leave a legacy like this. I was just working, you know what I'm saying? I had a vision in mind and I always kept my head down. But now that I stopped for a second, I'm like, I look behind, like I'm like, damn, like I've done a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Recently somebody broke my record in high school, and like one of the coach texted me, he's like, yeah, like I'm like, I have the 100 record? I forgot.
I believe I called that young man in my class, and you spoke to him. So on the spot, I put him on the phone.
Yeah.
And this guy was trying to get him out of football, but it was crazy because somebody had told me the same thing.
Yeah.
And they said it was your record.
Yeah, I didn't know. Apparently I have 2 records, so yeah, I didn't know.
He told me, he's like a Lucas? I'm like, Lukkas Londono? I'm like, yeah. I go, he didn't know how to pronounce your name. He didn't know how to pronounce your name, but it was amazing. Just, and again, it just goes to show, like, records are made to be broken, but how humble you are, and here you are trying to get that young man out to play football.
Yeah.
So, again, that speaks to who you are, right? They never forget where you came from. And I think that's so important nowadays, is that you don't forget where you came from. And, at the end of the day, yes, you're going to go on and do great things. NFL, I have no doubt, right? You're going to get that opportunity. You went off to Towson. You earned that scholarship, right? You earned everything you received up to this point. And that's why Lukkas Londono, you will go down as one of, the best, not only football athletes in Cliffside Park, but the best person, right? The other thing you give back to your community and to all the little kids who look up to you as a role model, right? And that's the legacy I could say that you left. So that's a credit to you, right?
Yeah.
But now on a lighter topic here, before we sign off for this episode, we always have this little segment. We have a little rapid fire questions here for you.
Okay.
So
Let's do it.
All right, speed or strength?
I'll say speed. Speed kills. Mandile said it one time.
pressure or comfort?
Pressure. Pressure's a privilege.
If you can go back in time, would you change being a walk-on, or would you want to be a recruited athlete?
Recruited athlete, man. I want to go for the stars.
Better quarterback or better offensive line?
Better offensive line, because they make them look good. So,
All right. What about, would you rather win ugly or lose pretty?
win ugly, man.
Yeah.
I'm about the team.
Yeah.
We asked not really the same question, but film room or weight room?
Film room. It happens in the film room.
Who's your favorite NFL player growing up?
NFL player. I like Randy Moss a lot, and I also like Steve Smith. Just like the way he played like angry and just let everything on the field, kind of like me, what we talked about.
And we're going to get you out of here on this one. But tell us one thing that you tell your younger self, looking back on it.
Honestly, nothing different. Just one thing that I still live by. You don't rise to the occasion. You default to the level of practice. That's always that I always went by back then, and I'm still like say that to you, man. Like,
man.
you don't rise to the occasion. You default to the level of practice. Anything in life. So, anything.
The bar.
That's great. And we're going to leave you on that one. So again, Lukkas Londono, thank you for being on the Built Not Born podcast.
Sure, you're having me, man. Honestly, Built Not Born, man.
Yeah.